Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nuclear Heat. Today is Thursday, December 24th, Christmas Eve. First and foremost, I would like to wish a happy and joyous Christmas and holiday season to everybody out there listening, friend or foe. It doesn't matter to me. Listen, I'm not the one that draws the lines. I'm just the guy that gives his opinions. You decide on drawing the lines whether you like to or not. That's not me. That's why, from the bottom of my heart, I wish you and your family a happy and healthy Christmas going into the new year. I have a wish list. I have 5 things that I would like for Christmas as it pertains to the wrestling business as we go into 2016. And those are the 5 topics that I would like to talk about today. I'd like to keep them short. I'd like to keep them sweet. But let's just say that they're pet peeves of mine that I would love to see change as we go into the new year. First of all, I think there is a gross overuse of 3 terms in professional wrestling. Let me explain what those 3 terms are. I think the 3 terms is somebody being over. I think the second term is somebody getting a huge pop. And I think the third term is great match. As the ratings continue to go down in professional wrestling and the audience gets smaller and smaller and smaller, of course, there was a huge massive jump a couple of weeks ago coming off of TLC, which was really great and rightfully so. They did a good job on TLC. They followed it up with Vince McMahon the following week. Of course, by the next week, you can have Vince McMahon on the show every week. Creative kind of went back to the same old, and we saw 500,000 viewers once again disappear. But here's where I scratch my head. As the wrestling business continues to lose audience year after year after year in a pattern that has been going on for 15 years, how could this possibly be the case if everybody is over, if everybody is receiving a huge pop, and if everybody is having a great match? The problem is that those 3 terms are so grossly overused and exaggerated when it comes to wrestling today. I've come to the conclusion that when somebody refers to somebody as being over or getting a great pop or huge pop or having a great match, that's because they haven't seen their history from years past. In other words, they look at wrestling in 2015 and they're not comparing it to somebody being over. They're not comparing it to somebody coming out and having a huge pop, and they're not comparing it to having a great match. Listen, guys, I use this as an example all the time. I'm a huge baseball fan, okay? I wasn't around when Ted Williams played the game. I wasn't around when Stan Musial played the game. I wasn't around when DiMaggio played the game. I was very young when Mickey Mantle played the game. I never got to see Willie Mays in his prime. But as a baseball fan and wanting to know everything about baseball and wanting to be educated about baseball, I went back and I watched these great players from years gone by. I've watched Lou Gehrig. I've watched Babe Ruth. I've watched Ty Cobb. I watched great ball players way before my time, before I was even born, to really understand what greatness meant, to really understand what it meant to be over. What it means to be over is, let's start with over. What it means to be over is everybody knows your name. Everybody, whether they're a wrestling fan or not. My wife is not a wrestling fan. My wife can tell you who Hulk Hogan is. My wife can tell you who Stone Cold Steve Austin is. My wife can tell you who The Rock is. So over is a term when somebody is over, and somebody is over with the masses and everybody knows their name. I always compare it to the airport test. To this day, can Hulk Hogan walk through an airport without every single person recognizing him? Can Austin do the same? Can The Rock do the same? That is over. When everybody knows who you are over. You know what? You may have your favorite singer, and it may be your favorite singer that hasn't broken out yet, that the rest of the masses haven't discovered yet. Well, just because you like this person's music personally, that wouldn't qualify him as being over. Actors, actors just starting out, whether it's a television show or a movie, and they start out with a very small role, and you happen to see this role and you happen to see this actor is great. If the actor isn't broken out yet, and if the masses don't know who the actor is, then that actor is not over. Over is practically when somebody is a household name. Robert De Niro is over. Jennifer Lawrence is over. Bradley Cooper is over. Obviously, Adele is over. Over means to be over and liked and adored by the masses. And it's the old Cheers, everybody knows your name. The way over is used with a lot of wrestlers in today's day and age tells me that people really don't know what over is. They never, Bruno Sammartino was over when I was a kid, but a lot of people watching today and throwing the word over around never saw a Bruno Sammartino. Believe it or not, they never saw an Andre the Giant. They never saw a Macho Man Randy Savage. Macho Man Randy Savage was over. My father could tell you who Macho Man Randy Savage was. As a matter of fact, back in the day, my father had a Macho Man Randy Savage t-shirt. He knew who Randy Savage was. This is over. This is the definition of over. When somebody is known and adored by the masses, not by a niche audience, by the masses. That's number one. Somebody having a great match. I hear the term great match literally every third match. Maybe I'm safe by saying every other match. Every other match today is a great match. Listen, go back and listen to my NXT report with Scott Casey Gale on VinceRussoBrand.com. To Scott Casey Gale, every match is a great match. And we've overused that term to the point that it doesn't mean anything anymore. I can remember for the longest time when you ask somebody what was a great match, they would tell you Savage and Steamboat at WrestleMania 3. I would still tell you that today. Great match. I would say WrestleMania 10 ladder match between Shawn Michaels and Scott Hall. Razor Ramon, great match. We'd never seen anything like that before. Great match. People talk about, Hell in the Cell matches, again, when we never saw it before. And we saw Undertaker and Shawn Michaels do things that we had never seen in a wrestling match before. That was a great match. I've seen Lesnar and Cena have some great matches. When Lesnar beat John Cena for the WWE World title, it was one of the most believable things I had ever seen. It was brutal. That was a great match. Now, every match on Raw, again, by the audience that watches Raw, every match is a great match. Every match on NXT by the audience who watches NXT is a great match. I am so tired of the overuse of that word great. I am one. I don't like to throw around great. You have to earn the word great with me. Again, I'm going to go back to baseball. I'm a huge Buster Posey fan, okay? Buster Posey's the catcher for the Giants. He's about 28 years old. I love Buster Posey. Even with somebody like Buster Posey, I don't throw the word great around yet. He hasn't proven that yet. There has to be year after year after year after year of putting up good numbers. Just like Randy Savage, year after year after year after year of putting in great matches. Then his matches become great. Then his matches become epic. Kurt Angle was another one that comes to mind. Anytime I saw Kurt Angle step in the ring, it was a great match. But today, there are jobber matches on NXT every single week, and they're categorized as great matches. I'll say it again. If you really want to understand wrestling history and you want to understand what a great match is, go back in the archives. Lawler and Terry Funk in an empty arena was a great match, and believe it or not, that was introduced to me. I didn't know about that growing up on Long Island, New York. When I watched that was a great match. So again, let's just not use the term great. Let's just not label everybody great. Let them earn the word great. Last but not least, huge pop. Huge pop. When wrestlers come out in the Full Sail Arena, and there's let's face it, guys, however many fans are there, I don't know, 500, 1,000, whatever it is. First of all, they're college students. Second of all, they got in for free. Third of all, there's a good chance that a lot of them are inebriated. And when Finn Balor comes out, that's categorized as a huge pop. As a matter of fact, when anybody at NXT comes out, it's categorized as a huge pop. It's to the point now where, if the first three people in the first row stand up on their feet, it's a huge pop. You want to know a huge pop? Go back to WrestleMania 3. Watch the entrance for Hulk Hogan. Go back to WrestleMania. Go back to Hogan beating the Iron Sheik for the title at Madison Square Garden. If you really want to talk about huge pop, you want to talk about a huge pop, go back to Austin in his prime when the glass broke. Go back to Taker in his prime when we heard the gong for the first time. Know what a huge pop means before you call everything, oh, he got a huge pop, when I'm sitting here and it sounds to me like the guy came out to crickets. Why? Because I experienced huge pops. I was at Madison Square Garden the very first time Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan had a match. The rafters were shaking. I was in the building, a sold-out Madison Square Garden. The rafters were shaking. That is a huge pop. So again, that's my wish. Before we label, somebody over, before we label a match as being great, before we label an entrance as being a huge pop, I ask you, just go back in history, do some of your homework, and really understand what a great match is, what being over is, and what being a huge pop is. Then you'll understand what I'm saying. Number 2, I would love to see in 2016 as my Christmas gift for the year, can we get rid of the authority figures? Can we stop with the authority figures? It's old, it's tired, it's worn out. Nothing against Triple H and Stephanie personally, but they come out week after week after week after week, and you can sit there in front of your TV and you can, or computer screen, however you're watching the show, and you can dictate your word for word exactly what they're going to say. They cut the same promo every single time. In case you didn't know it, this past week, Stephanie told you for about the 7,000 millionth time to nauseum that it's her ring. Okay, we've heard it's her ring for the last 5 years. We know it's your ring. We understand it's your ring. We get it. The authority is so played out, and I've got to be honest with you. This past Monday, to me, was just one of the worst authority openings of any show I've probably ever seen. Seeing a grown woman scream at the top of her lungs like a lunatic to get out of my ring, get out of my ring. The authority gimmick is over. End it. Figure out a new way to go about your business. It's old and it's stale. And I'll tell you why. Because the first person to ever be put in that role was Vince McMahon Jr. And I was there when it happened. I had the honor and the privilege of being there. And here's the bottom line. When Vince came out and did his stuff with Stone Cold Steve Austin, it was never going to get any better than that. That was the best that an authority figure was ever going to be. Now, there have been some good ones. You know, Eric Bischoff was a good one. I didn't see a lot of Vicky Guerrero's work. I wasn't really watching WWE at the time, but I'm told that she was very good. But that's the problem. Vince McMahon set the bar as the authority figure. Nobody was ever going to be better than him. And it was written much more differently then, where, you know, Vince McMahon had an issue with one wrestler in Stone Cold Steve Austin. That was the story. You know, in today's game with the WWE, the authority has a problem with whoever the top babyface is. It's done. It's over. It's played out. Move on. Let's think of another way to do it. That's just my opinion. Number 3, man, we have to put the psychology back in the wrestling matches. The matches have turned into a spot fest. The matches have turned into Circus Soleil. The matches have turned into a stunt show. They're no longer wrestling matches with psychology. And I got to tell you, there was a very pivotal point on this past Monday Night Raw's show, and you can all go back and you will watch it, but it was very, very, very concerning to me. The first couple of minutes in the match between Sheamus and the Intercontinental Champion Dean Ambrose, the first few minutes of the match, people actually started chanting boring. Why? Because Sheamus and Ambrose knew that they had, you know, about a 10-minute match, whatever it was, and they were setting the tone psychologically to get into the body of the match and the match. But to the fans' taste, they weren't taking crazy bumps quick enough to satisfy the taste of the fans. So 3 minutes in, these guys is trying to work. They're trying to set up the match. Dean Ambrose is a fan favorite, and the people are chanting, "This is boring." The niche audience today that still watch wrestling, all they want to see is the car crash. All they want to see are the death-defying stunts. You know, whatever you can do, you know, over the top rope, whatever you could do, from the rope to the floor, whatever it is, that's all they're interested in doing. Are spots. You know, there was a match I talked about not too long ago on TLC. It was set up as a spot fest. Nobody even tried to win the match. They were more concerned with setting up spots. There was no psychology. This is part of the reason why the casual wrestling fans have gone bye-bye, because it doesn't make any sense to them. When a guy can stand there and get nailed in the face 6 straight times and then literally come back with something big like he was never even touched, the casual wrestling fan sits at home and says, "Are you kidding me?" You know, finally, Sheamus and Ambrose got to the spots that the people wanted. Sheamus hits an unbelievable white noise from the top rope. It looked like he broke Ambrose's neck. It looked like Ambrose should have been dead. Sheamus starts climbing the cage. Literally 10 seconds later, Ambrose jumped up to his feet and started climbing the cage to go after Sheamus. Casual wrestling fans see this. They don't buy it. It's not real. It's not what would really happen if these two guys got in a fight. Again, I hate to use the Attitude Era as an example, but I will. And the reason why I bring the Attitude Era up again and again and again and again and again and again is to the casual fans, that's the last time wrestling was good. I have no problem going further back when I was a kid and wrestling was good. And I talk about that. I talk about, Bruno and the Valiants and, the early years of WrestleMania 10, the first event I worked. I talked about all that. The last time wrestling was good was the Attitude Era. That's why I talk about that. But everything looked like a fight. It wasn't a spot fest. It was a believable fight. Austin wanted to really kill that guy. Austin wanted to throw The Rock off the bridge. It was realistic. It wasn't spots. And let me tell you what spots are doing. And with what these guys are doing, they're shortening their careers. That's all that they're doing. When they're taking risks like this that don't need to be taking, all they're doing are cutting off days, months, and years off of their careers, let alone a God forbid, a career-ending injury. Obviously, Daniel Bryan is an example of that. This is a business. These guys only have a shelf life for so long. They're not going to be able to compete in the ring when they're 50, 55, 60 years old, 45 years old. They have a short period of time to make money to support, themselves and their family. The more wear and tear they put on their body, the shorter and shorter their career comes, the less ability they have to make money. This is a business. I would love somebody to do a study and see the injuries. Literally, let's look at the injuries throughout the last 30 years in wrestling. Let's look at the injuries of the 80s and the 90s and 2000s and 2010. How many injuries were there? When I first was introduced to wrestling, I can't remember anybody being hurt. When I was working at the WWE, there was an injury here and there was an injury there that we had to work around. Few and far between. By the time I got to TNA, guys were being injured every single week. And that's because of the crazy, unnecessary spot fest that they go out and do on a weekly basis to hear the chants of this is awesome, this is awesome, this is awesome by the small minority with the loud voice. This is a business. These guys have to make a living. The only way they're going to do that is to extend their careers. The only way they're going to make more money is to bring the masses back. The only way to bring the masses back is to bring back the wrestling that they knew as a kid, that their father, or grandfather introduced them to. The psychology of a good guy against a bad guy. They don't like each other. There's an angle. There's a fight. There's going to be a winner and there's going to be a loser. Not these no-sell, like I said, it's Cirque Soleil. Casual wrestling fans do not go for that. So let's make an effort to put the psychology back in the matches. You can't call something a finishing move anymore when everybody kicks out of it. Change the name. If you're going to kick out of every single move, it can't be the guy's finishing move. It was named finishing move for a reason. When the guy hit it, the match was over. His opponent was finished. That's where it got the name finishing move. So listen, if it's going to be a spot fest, if it's going to be Cirque Soleil, if it's going to be a car crash, let's eliminate the term finishing move from our vocabulary because it does not exist anymore. I would like to see, number 4, I would like to see creative become more important than the physical match. Again, as a wrestling growing up, as all wrestling fans growing up, and listen, I talk to people that don't watch anymore. I go to conventions. A lot of people don't watch the show anymore, and I ask them why, and they all tell me it's not what it used to be. Wrestlers don't watch Raw. I'm talking about some of the top names in the business. They cannot even sit through an episode of Raw. Why? It's not what it used to be. I tell you all the time, I would not watch the product if I weren't getting paid to do it. It's not what it used to be. It's not wrestling. What wrestling used to be is you developed a character first, then you would bring characters together, develop a storyline, and out of that, a match would come. So based on the characters and based on the story, you were rooting for somebody and you were booing against somebody. So the character and the story superseded the actual match. Today, it's the complete opposite. There are no characters, there are no stories, and the match, and let me please say this, the choreographed fake match means everything. All the emphasis is put on the match. Well, guess what? I got news for you. The only people that you're going to draw are the people that care about the match. And we've seen the wrestling audience used to be over 10 million people on a Monday night. Now it's 3 million people. And you can carry on and on and on about DVR and Hulu and this and that and the other thing. Make all the excuses in the world that you want. Let me break it down to you this way. Wrestling used to kick the backside of Monday Night Football. Now it's not even close. The people who watch Monday Night Football compared to wrestling, it's not even close. Number two, you have shows like The Walking Dead who still have a first-run viewership of 18 million people. So what that tells you is it's doable. If a show is good enough, they're going to watch it in the first run. Walking Dead, 18 million people. WWE Raw, 3 million people. It's a smokescreen. That's all it is. It's not wanting to face reality, not wanting to face the truth. The wrestling business has changed from the emphasis of the story and the character, which drew everybody in. You know, I can go back to Cyndi Lauper and Wendy Richter and the Fabulous Moolah, and how, you know, the MTV crowd that got sucked into it. You know, people forget, man, WrestleMania won the Piper angle with Hogan. All that stuff was on MTV. The masses were watching that stuff. You know, Saturday night's main event that used to substitute for SNL, you know, back in the 80s, that used to draw a huge audience. Character, storyline. That's changed today to the fake wrestling match. That's got to flip-flop if you want to bring the masses back. And listen, man, if you don't want to bring the masses back, that's up to you. Me, personally, I want to see the wrestling business flourish again. I want to see as many people watch wrestling as possible. I know what the numbers used to be. I know what they are now. That is sad to me. The more people that watch wrestling, the more money the WWE makes, the more money the boys make. I want to see those guys make as much money as they possibly could. Go, you can go back, ask any of those guys, ex-Brett, ex-Shawn, ex-Taker, ex-Mick, ex-Rock. All of them made the most amount of money during the Attitude Era. So the more people that you bring to the dance to watch wrestling, the more money the business is going to make, the more money the wrestlers are going to make. Because at the end of the day, it is a business. And if you narrow it down to a niche market, you are going to be limited to the capability. Last but not least, I would love to see, above everything on this list, I would love to see the ability for us to respect each other's opinions. Listen, no two people are going to look at anything the same ever. That's why we're different. Our ideas are different. Our values are different. Our morals are different. We were raised differently. We were raised in different parts of the world. We were raised, with different religious beliefs and ethnic beliefs. We're all different people. We're all going to have different ideas and opinions. I ask that in 2016, we can respect that. We can respect if other people's opinions differ from ours. If they have a different idea, if they have a different way of doing things, if they look at something differently than you, have an open mind, have a educated, enjoyable discussion. What I see every single day are the personal attacks, basically because my views on wrestling or a wrestler differ than your views. So because I'm not seeing things the way you're seeing things, or the way you're seeing an individual, then we get into the whole thing. You hate me. I killed WCW. I killed Owen Hart. That's one of my favorites. David Arquette. All you did was put people. Then we just get into the personal attacks because I don't agree with your opinion on a wrestler, or I don't agree with your opinion of how wrestling should be presented. So I become irrelevant. You're relevant. I'm irrelevant because I don't agree with your philosophy and I don't agree with your opinion. That's really a sad state. Because it would be so much more enjoyable. And I'll be honest with you, the product as a whole would get better if you heard other people's critiques, especially people who know, especially people who've been there and done that, and who don't have any personal agendas towards any companies or any wrestlers, but based on experience, they're sitting there telling you what they see. But the idea of hating somebody and personally attacking somebody because they don't agree with you on Kevin Owens is childish. It's immature, it's stupid, and it's a waste of everybody's time and energy. I would love to see that come to a halt as we go into the new year, even though I know I'm barking up the wrong tree. I'm beating a silent drum, and it's just never going to happen. It's human nature. You don't agree with somebody, it's going to become a personal attack. Then at that point, it just becomes useless. But those are the 5 things that I ask for here on Christmas Eve as we go forward, with this business going into 2016. But again, as I said at the top of the show, whether you love me, whether you hate me, whether you agree with me, whether you disagree with me, doesn't matter to me. I wish you all a happy Christmas, a Merry Christmas, a happy holiday, a great New Year. I hope you're spending it with your loved ones. I hope you're around family and friends, the people that matter at the end of the day, the only people that are going to be there at the end. Trust me. There it is, everybody. Thanks for listening. This has been Nuclear Heat, WrestlingInc.com. Remember, you can follow me all week long through video podcasting on VinceRussoBrand.com. Thanks for listening, everybody.